Exhibit 92 is Cellbrite data showing that Mr. Crumbley's social media account follows his son's social media account. Would you like to review that?
I'm good with that.
You're good with this?
Yes.
Okay. So you agree that that's what that shows?
Correct.
It doesn't show whether or not they interact. Exhibit 92 doesn't show whether or not they interact on social media. Is that accurate?
That particular, no, it does not.
Correct. Exhibit 92 doesn't show whether or not Mr. Crumbley saw any of his son's social media posts. Is that correct?
It would not indicate that, no.
Exhibit 96 is a video that was found on Mr. Crumbley's son's phone at on November 26, 2021 at 6:39 p.m. And again, it's a placeholder. But if you recall, it's a video of the phone camera looking down the barrel of a firearm.
Yes.
You do not see in that video, if you recall, you don't recall seeing a round in the chamber, correct? You didn't see a brass.
You saw the firing pin.
The firing pin, which means
Down
that
the barrel.
there's nothing there.
Correct.
You do not know from that video if Mr. Crumbley's son is holding the firearm in front of him with his camera, or if it's like this, or you don't know what's going on. You just know what that video shows, and it's the barrel of the firearm.
Correct.
Exhibit 98 is a GPS location showing that Mr. Crumbley was at the home at the time that this video was taken. Did you want to look at Exhibit 98?
No, I'm good. I remember that one.
And you would agree that Exhibit 98 shows that Mr. Crumbley was at the home?
Correct.
And again, you don't know whether Mr. Crumbley was aware that his son was handling the firearm this way, correct?
That's correct.
Exhibits 100 and 101 are similar photos. If you recall, they are social media posts by both Mr. Crumbley's son and Mr. Crumbley's wife. If you would like to review them.
Please.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Sure.
Both
Thank you.
100 and 101.
You can continue to approach that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It is uncontaminated by this.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. So those are posts by Mr. Crumbley's wife and his son, and they're shooting range targets.
Correct.
And it looks like they were shooting range targets that they used based on the posts.
Based on, yes.
There's nothing illegal or improper to your knowledge about taking your child to the shooting range, correct?
That's correct.
And letting them shoot at a target.
Correct.
There's nothing illegal and improper to your knowledge about posting photos of the target that you used.
Correct.
Exhibits 104 through 107 are from November 27th of 2021, showing that James Crumbley was doing DoorDash deliveries. Do you recall reviewing those?
Yes, I do.
Do you need to see them?
Just in case, yes, please.
Okay. (104) through 107.
Okay.
Now those deliveries are over a period of time.
Correct.
And we know that James Crumbley worked for DoorDash. We talked about that yesterday.
Correct.
It hasn't been disputed to your knowledge.
No.
DoorDash was his job at the time.
That's correct.
There's nothing wrong with working at DoorDash, correct?
No.
There's nothing wrong with leaving your 15-year-old son at home while you're working for DoorDash.
Correct.
In and of itself, there's nothing wrong with that.
Correct.
And when you were looking at exhibits yesterday, and just if you recall, you don't recall there being any posts about or exhibits about concerning behavior or concerning text messages or videos or anything like that during the hours from exhibits 104 to 107?
During this time, no.
Okay. We talked about the horse barn yesterday, if you recall.
Yes.
You talked about the messages between James Crumbley and his wife about the horse barn.
Correct.
In fact, you recalled that James Crumbley and his wife mentioned or talked about the horse barn 86 times in their messages that you reviewed.
Going to a yes, correct.
And you said specifically from January of 2021 through November of 2021, they had talked about going to the horse barn 86 times.
That's correct.
Now, if we do the math quickly, there's 333 days between January 1st of 2021 to November 30th of 2021, if you know. I don't know if you're, I'm not great at math,
I
but,
don't know that.
okay. So let's just assume that's the number we come up with. 86 out of 333 is 25.8%. Again, I'm not gonna ask you to, I'm not gonna hold you to the number.
Okay,
But assuming 86 is correct, assuming 333 is correct, that means that a quarter of the time, they're discussing the horse barn.
and really didn't discuss much more than going to work and stuff like that.
On November 28th of 2021, yesterday you testified that Mr. Crumbley was away from the house for approximately 5 hours. There were screenshots or GPS locations. You remember talking about that yesterday?
What day was this?
November 28th of 2021.
Okay, yes,
There's nothing wrong with being away from home for 5 hours, correct?
correct,
In and of itself, there's nothing wrong with that.
correct.
Exhibit 115, and I am going to bring this up to you, is a Facebook thread between James Crumbley and his wife. On November 29th of 2021 from 8:23 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m.
Okay,
They are discussing issues with their horse. We
correct,
talked about it yesterday. We also learned in that time between 8:23 a.m. and 1 o'clock p.m. that Pamela Fine from Oxford High School called Jennifer Crumbley.
correct,
She left her a voicemail. Pamela Fine left Jennifer Crumbley a voicemail.
that's correct,
There was another exhibit showing that Jennifer Crumbley accessed that voicemail at approximately 11:49 a.m.
correct,
In Exhibit 115, there's no discussion between James Crumbley and Jennifer Crumbley about that voicemail.
There was a, not in this right here, no, but there was conversation, where Jennifer asked James, did he tell you what happened at school today?
And I'm going to get to that in just a second.
Okay.
But in that thread, there isn't anything, especially around 11:49 or even before 1 o'clock p.m., where it's mentioned, I got a voicemail from the school, this is what it was about. Is that fair?
That's fair.
In fact, it wasn't until Exhibit 119 at approximately 3:19 p.m. that Jennifer Crumbley mentioned anything to James Crumbley about something going on with Ethan at school.
Correct.
And,
Can I ask you a question for just a
yes, Your Honor.
Can you turn off the microphone?
Their son talked about what happened at school.
Correct.
Now, there's an assumption that Mrs. Crumbley is asking Mr. Crumbley about the incident that led to the voicemail. Is that fair? There's an assumption.
Nothing else to base that on happened that was, the school called them about.
And that's my point, right?
Correct.
And there was no conversation between James Crumbley and Jennifer Crumbley about that voicemail beyond what we see in that message, in the messages in 119, correct?
Correct.
Exhibit 131 is another Facebook thread between James and Jennifer Crumbley. You're welcome. From November 30th of 2021. Oh, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to 122. You can keep 131 with you.
Okay.